Please don't take this opportunity for granted.
Hello,
Hi.
everybody.
Yeah. Good evening. How are you doing?
Very fine, thank you. How you guys doing?
Very well. And thank you very much for honoring this invitation. It means a
Yeah,
lot. And it
yeah, very
means
fine.
anything. All right. I will quickly read your biography now. So, I suppose most people should know you, but if you don't, there's an opportunity. So, in less than 2 3 minutes, I will quickly read Charles' biography, and after that, Charles have the platform and I disappear. Okay, so Charles is a product designer and tech entrepreneur. Charles has the rare privilege of growing up as a whiz kid with experience using computers since the age of 7, long before he chose a tech career. He went on to learn graphics design and printing at his family-owned printing press. In 2015, Charles formally closed. In 2015, Charles formally chose tech as a career he would be venturing in, and by 2016, he was working mostly with via Upwork for one of the U.S. most successful marketing agency for crowd funds, funded today. Subsequently, Charles transitioned into product design and has had the opportunity of working with notable brands and businesses in Nigeria and across the world. Charles co-founded Spear.
Fire. Yeah, yeah.
Charles co-founded Spire in 2021 and make it easy for businesses to improve their digital products, engage their users, and gain feedback to improve their products. In 2022, Charles was endorsed as an exceptional talent by Tech Nation for the UK Home Office, granting him the prestigious Global Talent Visa. This award recognizes his contribution to the tech ecosystem in Nigeria through his work as a product designer and as well as his community contributions. Charles is a professional member of the BCS, the British Chartered Institute for IT, where he continues to learn, contribute, and support the tech ecosystem in the United Kingdom. He currently lives and works in Manchester, UK. Wow, that's awesome. I hope one day I can actually write something that can be so sweet to read out that way. But yeah. All right, Charles, before I leave the platform to you. Do you mind telling the people within a minute or two why they should listen to you? I mean, why you are the right person to walk them through, explain the global opportunity in tech without coding. I know I've read the biography, but it is great to
Yeah,
hear it from you.
yeah. Hi, everyone, and thank you guys for having me here. I think when I saw the list of speakers for the event, I was like, okay, I must be doing something right to be getting an invite to speak together with some very notable people. Like you have said, my name is Charles Njoku, and um, to the question he asked, "Why am I the right person?" I don't think I am the right person. In, I don't think I am the right person, but I think that um, I have stories. It's not about right or wrong. It's about the stories that will resonate with people. Um, I'm well known for my ability to sort of like share realities of my journey, and people have found it inspiring over the years. So yeah, um, like you read, my career didn't start because I loved tech so much, and what was it called? It was the only thing I wanted to do after eating rice. Um, I was privileged in the sense that my parents had the printing press. My mom is a professionally trained typist. She used to type for um, the government office, the office of the governor of Benin State back in the early 2000s. Um, my dad is a handyman. He used to have a couple of businesses before he and my mom decided to build a computer business center together that eventually morphed into a printing press. So you see, I've had literally the foundation, but again, it takes more than just having that to have the kind of career I've been able to build over the years.
All right, that is awesome. So, guys, yes, Charles, the founder of Spire. All right, you have the platform, Charles.
Okay, great. Yeah. So Luckily, had reached out to me and had sent a few questions to speak around opportunities in tech for folks who do not want to get into writing code. Um, my story is similar because, for example, I started off as a graphic designer working in my dad's printing press, doing print production, collating and post production, binding, photocopy, and all these things. And even as early as my second year in uni, I was already running a small business of my own. Um, I was printing magazines, posters, tickets, and all of that for different people on campus back then. Talking about it now, when I look back at those days, it's actually a very interesting experience. One of the key things I learned in that experience is actually finding something very valuable and giving your time and talent to it. I like to think I did some of the most interesting jobs back then on campus, from my department all the way to several faculties and helping them do their print production. So all this while I never had decided, I never thought I would get like tech would be my go-to career at the end of the day. Backstory: I was supposed to be in med school. I had to leave that to get into biochemistry because med school was difficult. It was while I was in biochemistry I decided that I don't really like this thing. No. Like I don't enjoy it. It feels like so much stress for something I don't even understand. I still can remember, for example, drawing biochemical pathways of the body and several chemical reactions, and it was pretty much just me cramming and dropping everything in that paper. I never understood it. Never. I mean, it was fascinating. I wouldn't lie that it was fascinating, but I just didn't see. Like I prospect myself into the world, and I can't see where I fit into the world with these things. Kudos to people who have been able to find where they fit in the world with that sort of knowledge you get. I knew this thing I was learning was valuable, but I didn't think there was anywhere I could see myself fit into the world. Do I work in the lab? I hate working in the lab. I did lab work for at least more than half of my university days, and I hated it. I mostly missed half of it even. Do I work in the hospital? That was when I would say I had, I don't want to say existential crisis or midlife crisis because I was pretty very young then, but I actually did have a crisis. The crisis was, what do I do with myself? And some of the questions I asked myself that back then, this was back as early as 2014 into 2015, I had decided to actually also ask myself who I am and like what do I want out of life. And I started paying more attention to my skills. I mean, kudos to some of my mentors and friends who I spoke to back then. One of the key things someone told me was, what is that one thing that you know, even if you're not being paid a dime, you spend your time doing? Honestly, you sit in front of a computer. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, really. You get, I spend 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 hours in front of the computer and I'm not bored for one bit. There's so much to do, there's so much to learn, and that was when I figured out that, you know what, maybe this is what I'm going to do in my life. And from them henceforth, I started finding the several paths that led to where I am today. I have done lead generation where I help businesses go out there to look for customers, people that fit their customer profile for them to make targeted advertising to. And that was how I got one of the first remote jobs. Before remote became a thing, this was far back as 2016, early 2016. I had started working remotely on Upwork. And within a year or two, I made close to over $10,000. on the Upwork platform. So even before people started looking for international jobs, before it became a what's it called mainstream to work remotely and look for international jobs paying in dollars. I was in uni then, and I think I was making around $300 a week or so. You get, um, and that was really an eye opener. That almost be a signal here and there, you. But yeah, I eventually went on to start learning a lot of online skills, virtual assistant skills, like learning how to audit a huge database of what's it called data sets, cleaning up Excel sheets, cleaning up data. So some of this redundant skill, data entry, for example. For example, I could get a there was one time I had an Excel sheet that have multiple Excel sheets put together that had over 7 million rows of data, and I had to clean it up using different parameters. And so these are some of the skills I had learned at the time, and I had been doing it. But then again, it was stressful. It was really stressful, and the stress wasn't worth the money, honestly. And I said, okay, I mean, I'm doing this. I enjoy the fact that I know how to do this now, but I know I wanted more. And I started looking back for. I was trying to sell my graphic design skill on Upwork. It's really, it was really difficult at the time because they were really good people. I'm not going to lie. I thought I was good, but I met the best. You get, um, and it was difficult to stand out amongst so many people that were doing graphic design at the time. And that was one of my first realization that I have lived within my bubble of, for example, designing for my dad's printing press, and everybody was hailing me computer guru, and I mean, my shoulder was up there, and I felt like I was a bad guy. I mean, also I designed back in uni, I did some really good work. Um, so coming online in a global community to now see people like people who you are competing with are way off your mark. It was a humbling experience. And that was when I decided that, you know what, I'm going to learn to be as bad as these people. And I went back to the drawing board. I started designing again, trying different things, learning different design tools, doing a couple of things. I did 3D, I did 3D and 3D modeling, I did After Effects and motion graphics, I did Photoshop and photo manipulation. Like I started getting involved in things I've never tried before. Before then, my experience was around Corel Draw and maybe a bit of Photoshop. There was PageMaker then. We used to use that to design editorials. So that experience led me to decide to even learn, go back to the drawing board to learn. And it was around that time I had one of the very first people I met from that experience was Yox. Yox was one of the veterans of brand design in Nigeria. He's really good. I think I had signed up to his class one time. He was advertising it on Facebook and signed up to his class. So it was a virtual class where he teaches people branding, marketing, communication, copyright, and all those things with very like real life projects. I signed up to yours, and that was my first brand experience. I came out of that class and it was so good. I handled three branding projects and I loved it. You get, and it was really good. And that was when I started opening my, oh, so there's something called branding. Like, I mean, there's the granular of all of it is there's graphic design, sprint, and all that. But in a whole subset, if you want to deliver a business solution, you get, you have to think differently. Being a designer is not enough, but being a graphic designer that knows how to package a business solution was what to give you money, and branding was that thing you get. Because in branding, what we do is basically do research, and at the end of the day, the collaterals we deliver is still graphic. It still comes down to graphic design, but with very core business methodology as well as human psychology tied to it. And that was really an eye opener as to another world of what's it called design I was getting into. But guess what? It was also around this time that the tech startup booms started spreading into Africa and Nigeria. You get tech hubs was like popping up literally everywhere. Everybody was trying to get into a tech hub, and it feel like software engineers were the hot cake then. Honestly, I was intimidated. I was not even like, it felt like software engineers were the hot cake there, and everybody wanted to do software engineering. Those who wanted to learn were going to Andela. I even applied to Andela. Unfortunately, I didn't make it. I was not good enough. Um, and several other programs. I tried doing programming. I wanted to do front end engineering. I learned a bit of front end engineering, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. I even did Python for like 1 week. I ran away. I did C Sharp for 1 week too. I ran away. I even did what was it called? Cloud engineering. There's a cloud engineering program I started, but I ran and left it. It was just not working. Front end was the closest thing that worked out. And today I'm realizing why it did. It was because I'm a very creative person. I'm a very creative person in the sense that I'm so obsessed about how people experience things. Sometimes I just need a bit of information about the technicalities behind, and I want to abstract that technicality for the people for the everyday people who experience it. Because the everyday people who experience it are not going to care about if you use 10,000 line of code to deliver one feature. You get they really just want to get something done. And I discovered that I was more concerned about that part, and it was the reason why front end made sense for me. I did front end for a bit, but at the same time it wasn't clicking. It was around this time a friend now told me that there was something called product design, UI UX, and he was like, "It's like front end, but you don't have to code. You design software, you design web pages, you design web apps, mobile apps, and all that, but you don't have to write code. All you just need to do is just design how it looks." And the first thing I did was to go and learn UX design. I think I did a couple of Coursera courses and a couple of what was it called? Um, just online courses basically, and it became very interesting. And that was when I decided that be as if not here I would deal because I mean it's design. I've always been a designer. You get so it just makes sense that I would be here and sort of like experience what it feels like to work in this sector. Now I'm going to try to share my screen and see if I can share some of the very first thing I did after learning um, UX design. Okay, so yeah, I remember this was probably one of the first thing I did when after learning UX design. It was supposed to be an e-commerce page. It was literally just about baby shoes. Um, Oftentimes, most of the e-commerce stores we see online is always for adults. Even the children's section, I just, you know what, let's just do it for doing sake. But there was no dedicated e-commerce store for like shoes for kids. That was a problem I identified, and I decided I wanted to solve it. Sort of like design something that solved it. And this was one of the very first thing I did. And it was really interesting, it was funny. Now, let me tell you the one thing I did that made me decide that, you know what, in this is this UX design that I would die here. Now there was something called the design. This was in 2018. Designer Arise contest by LIE, and it was to redesign the Nigeria's website. Like if you want to learn about Nigeria, you just go to Nigeria.gov. You get, and we were supposed to redesign it. I think the award prize was 50,000. Yeah, 30,000, 50,000 naira. Now that was the first money I ever won from designing anything. Like it wasn't a job. It was like you design and people voted and you won. And this was what the design looks like. You get. I designed it. I think Buhari was president by then. Each state had their own navigation. The program and initiatives of the government was highlighted. A letter from the president. So I literally just gave it a new feel as to how people experience learning about Nigeria. And I was the first runner of the second position. It was literally after this experience that I was like, you know what? It is here. It is here that we are going to make this money. And I started learning more, trying to meet more people in the industry and get acquainted to the things they were doing. I think I did Udacity UX course, and I was taking on projects. Mind you, while I was doing this, I also was still working in marketing and communications. By 2019, I was working in marketing and communications for Softcom in Lagos. I had moved to Lagos in 2018. That was how I got into that contest. So by 2019, I was already working in in Softcom in Lagos. I was working as a visual designer in marketing and comms, but I was also doing UI UX on the side, trying to get into the whole scene and all of that. And by the two, it was that same 2019. I had done a couple of several projects. Let me. I'm not sure if I have them here, but yeah. But I've done a couple of several projects in marketing and comms, and also tied that to what's it called? Let me see if I can find it. But yeah, okay, great. So now this was in 2018. I designed this package for a friend who had a spice business. He was trying to package his spice and sell it. You get well, so it was just a packaging design to showcase what it would look like, as well as even the this was as far back as December 2018. This is peanut pepper spread, also basically pepper toothpaste and all of that. Also, it was around the same time I started getting very deep into UX design, and this is a research work I had did on behalf of his brand so that he can be able to sell his product using an e-commerce website. They get this was me literally moving around, talking to people about it and learning more. Yeah, so all in all, I am going through all of this to just say that nobody nobody starts from nowhere. You get it doesn't there's nothing that is too hard or too easy, but one of the very most important ways to get yourself started is to find that one thing you are passionate about that resonates with you. Whether even if I wasn't doing design, I'm pretty very sure I would have been doing something that the end goal of that thing is making the experience of how people use things better. Whether it was in music or it was in the medical industry or whatever industry, I know I would definitely have ended in the creative side of those industries. You get. So I had deeply sought out myself and I'm understood this thing, this is what drives my passion, this is what drives my purpose, this is what drives everything I do. And even I was telling a friend the other day, I want to retire maybe at 40, what's called latest 45. I want to retire from being like very active design work and spend more time um, doing things that impact people's life directly. I want to step away from the computer more of the time and spend more time. And the sort of things I want to do, for example, probably pick up a lecturing job or go into public service and drive policies that make it easy for people to have fundamental education in their early stages of their life, quality education from early stages of their life. And regardless, wherever I end, the point is bettering the experience of people wherever I am, like making sure that like you are experiencing something and I am just there to make sure you like it is better. It is something I am very, very passionate about. Today I am doing it in design, I'm doing it in tech. Tomorrow I could be doing it in politics, in public service, in literally any other thing else. By just knowing that, I know that there isn't one particular thing that I must be doing. I just know that I just have to find that one thing that I am very skilled at. The reason I am in design and tech today is because right from growing up as a child, I have had that foundation and it's more like a natural talent. I don't know if I told myself that, you know what, this engineering is what I would do, I would have done it. But why waste my time in engineering if I would be better off doing design, you get? So sometimes the fine details of how you would achieve your purpose might not be clear. A good starting point is to find out one thing you're skilled at and find out why that skill might be important to whatever you want to achieve with your life or whatever purpose you think resonates with you. You get. Some of the questions um, Olakunle has sent to me was like, how did I realize that I didn't have to venture into code to venture into tech industry? I didn't realize honestly. I just I just knew writing code wasn't something I'm excited about a lot of times. Mind you, till today, I still can write code. When it comes down to it, I write code once in a while. There are a couple of projects I've what's called out there that people are using. I wrote part of the code for it, and if today there is need for me to write code, I would go and write code. But I'm just saying I don't like it. You get, I don't necessarily enjoy it, but I can do it. You get. So I didn't realize I didn't need code. I just knew that there was something about design that I was skilled at, that I have a creative eye. A lot of my friends would tell me that you can read all of the design books you get. But the one thing is, if you ever speak to Charles about design, there's this sense of intuition. You can't learn intuition. I don't know, maybe people can, but I don't know how to teach people intuition. There's an intuition that if you see something, you almost can create the pattern with your eye. Your brain sort of finds a way to put a pattern together about these things. And my friend, is one thing, one feedback I've gotten a lot from my peers are like, there's something about Charles's intuition that is so good that you can't find in a book. Maybe you can find it, but I don't. Nobody has told me that I found it. But yeah, and that is the reason why being in design made more sense to me than doing anything else. And well, here we have it. UX design, UI UX product design has now been one of the most in demand non-coding tech skill everybody is going out for today. It's not as if I predicted this would happen. I simply just followed my passion. I simply just followed, and I simply just followed my passion and told myself that if it is this thing I am doing, I have to be so good at it that I can compete globally. Nothing about whether it would give me 5 million. in 2 years or in 3 years or whatever. It was more or less like this thing is so good. I'm so passionate about it, and I see people do really incredible stuff with it. You get, and I have to be this good. I have to be really good. You are in it. You get. I have to be good enough that people want to really work with me. You get, and that was really what was important to me, and not even the sense of whether UI UX will be in demand now. Funny enough, UI UX is in high demand, but guess the unfortunate thing. I know a lot of people think that oh, the guys who can design really good are getting all the jobs out there and maybe beginners. Uh, But in real sense, beginners are actually being given more chances. For example, I was telling somebody when I was working on my startup, I decided to take a couple of consultancy gigs just to keep up and all of that. And I remember how on 3 occasions, the people who were supposed to give me were like, nah, that I'm too qualified for it. And they don't even think that first of all, they don't even think they can afford me. And secondly, I'm too qualified for it. They needed somebody that would stay more long term with them, grow with the business, and all of that. And I was like, hey, wow. And that's how more than six offers were scrapped off my table. You get, so you discover that now I'm at the point where the kind of job I can do or I will do is not many. You get, nobody hires 10 senior designers at a go. Usually companies will hire maybe two or three and then hire more mid-level junior designers so that those seniors could train them. You get, so it's not even difficult for people like me to actually land a job easily. But that's by the way. Like I said, my realization came from the fact that I loved what I was doing. I believed I had the skill to do it, and I was resilient enough through all of the trying times. Now, don't get me wrong, there was nothing smooth. There was no linear way to get to where I am today. There was nothing smooth about it. There are days. Let me bust people's bubble. There are days I slept in on my way home there was literally a breakdown of a truck. Then when I was in Lagos, I used to live with my uncle in Apapa. A truck broke down. You know that Apapa grid. The truck broke down and there was like no road in front. There was nothing you could do. I slept in the car park with the drivers. In the morning, I stepped out and had to shower where all of them showering outside in the open air. Wear my clothes, clean my shoe, enter the next bus going back to Ikeja. Till today, probably maybe only one or two of my colleagues knew that story. You get, so I don't want to go into all of this, but my point is there's no linear smooth path. You are going to have to do the most difficult things to follow your passion. You would have to do the most difficult things to achieve a certain level of excellence. And that's why like today, sometimes some of the accolades I would get for the things I do I am so happy and maybe shedding tears, it's not because I don't think I deserve it. It's when I look back at how, when it wasn't clear, when I was completely blinded, you get, when I didn't know like where this would take me to, I never gave up. You get, I kept doing what I was doing, and eventually all of it is paying off the way it is. You get, so those are some of the things I look back and like, yep, I would always advise you prospecting into the future as to what you gain from what you're about to do now is a good thing. But sometimes you have to be ignorant and foolish to continue to chase in the sole belief that even if it's designing the cap of this bottle that I know how to do, if I am so skillful and so good at it, I would compete globally because that bottle cap will always be needed. You get, and who says I won't be the guy to come up with a new kind of eco-friendly, sustainable, what's it called, better user experience design? You get. Who says I won't be the one? So that sort of mentality keeps you going even when there is no success or there is no clarity of winning in sight. You get, but that mentality that being just like exceptionally good at what you do is enough to put you in front of the best can always take you across the line. Some of the other question Olakunle had shared with me was whether there was any community. Yes, a huge part of my success is attributed to community work, honestly. I knew I couldn't do it alone. One of the things I did was to find friends, people who shared the same mentality as I did. And we continue to like inspire ourselves, share our work, do things. The sort of people that I started off with or build our community are some of the best people you find around. I know some of you might have heard of Pixedan, Daniel Abayomi. He currently works with Meta, that's Facebook. I remember days where we would argue into the middle of the night about a design concept. We would share feedback on the things we're working on. I can't forget October 2020, the day the entire shooting happened. I was literally in his house. I was about design, we were arguing. And I couldn't go home because the shooting happened and everybody was scared. I ended up staying in the house for 1 week that day. I remember. And half the time we were arguing about design. You get either subbing each other or hailing each other's work. I know people. There are people. Some other folks like Osamudia Mudia. He leads a lot of the design ecosystem in Kaduna. Very, very, very fantastic guy. There is my co-founder. I met my co-founder online far back as 2018. We never met until 2019, and in 2021 we both decided to start a company together. Funny enough, do you know it was in 2021 I realized we are probably brothers in the sense that we come from the same local government. It was just in the conversation we realized all this while we knew about each other is like if you needed advice, insight on design, this is the person you go to. My co-founder is very good with research. He's very good with what's it called, team management, and all of that. And it was a no-brainer. And when I met him, it's only when we started interacting and staying more with each other, we even realized that we share a bond like larger than even our work. So you can imagine how very fulfilling or comfortable that feels that you came from a sense of community and now you're forming a brotherhood. There are so many names I can mention. There is Deborah. Deborah is currently also in the UK. She got technician. I and Deborah was in the class where we did brand design on Facebook in 20 what's it called 18, 19. You get today Deborah is an outstanding designer and we get there is Praise Freelimore and there is Brown. I could keep on naming names and all of these people at some point we literally did not know anything. We are just some design obsessed people bantering about design every time. I know a couple of my friends now. About 4 years ago, we were arguing about design in a WhatsApp group. Today, one of them is the head of design in one of the big brands in Nigeria. You get so all of this was because for some reason we had the same mentality about being really good, being excellent, and we continue to foster ourselves with different activities to get to that point. And today, all of us are scattered around some of the most important businesses across the world, or some of the most important initiatives. Some of us starting companies, some of us leading large teams or design teams across the world, and all of that. And you discover that it is this sense of community and the very common goal we all had that helped us get to this point. You get so it's very important. Some of the communities you want to join is, for example, there's Asha Koteri, it's a design focused community. I happen to belong there and I lead some of the projects that happen within the community. There is Friends of Figma. I don't know. I really do not know about hotels, HNG communities, but I see them. online a lot, and I've seen some really good people from that. So you might want to check that out. There's also communities like Pexels. Pexels is a design school. I also happen to support and mentor there once in a while. Like pretty much any community, honestly, that share your goal, you can join. It mustn't be the one I'm recommending you get. For anyone that shares the same goal you have for yourself and the same mindset, you get really good at what you're doing. You should join. One other question I was asked was whether coding was more profitable than not coding. Honestly, if you want us to go into the data of it, like to do numbers, you get obviously software designers over time has consistently earned more than designers on other non-form of tech. But the reality is that honestly, there are also people who have earned software designers and they never software developers or engineers and they never had to code for one day in their life. So it's up to you. Doesn't I don't want to make a definite statement around that. So it's up to you to decide what you want. Do you want is your goal to earn more than software engineers or your goal to earn enough that you're comfortable with and also be able to impact lives in some other forms. I guess that's that's up to you to figure out. So it shouldn't be about which is better. It should be more about what is important and valuable to you at the end of the day. Some other questions I got asked is what has been your my biggest gig or job or achievement so far? It's it would be between it would between my startup and my startup and probably one product I have that people are using. Um, or if it's about gig, then probably there's this job I did for a friend. He used to work at Facebook now, but he runs a startup. And I was building the website for his startup, and I think it was just a two-pager website, but there was a lot of technical work behind the scene because there was voice recording that needed to be infused with animations and all of that, and make that experience seamless. I think the biggest amount of money I've ever collected for a website, and I think it was $3,000. I think even after I had finished, he gave me a bonus of about $200 more. So that's $3,200 for the website, honestly. I think biggest in the sense that in comparison to what I had to do versus the amount being paid in that sense. But biggest in terms of impact would be a tool I currently have on Figma. So it's called Bavatars, black avatars for profile images. So when people design products, that part of profile image they put people picture, they're always using white people. And honestly, I hated it. You get so imagine going to present a software or a demo, and the profile picture of the software is one white guy. When the person who will use it is literally me and you. I hated it, and I decided to what's it called, build something around it. A simple plugin. People get to donate their pictures on the platform using their LinkedIn page. I'm going to share my screen now. I'll show you. So it's called Bavatars. Yeah, so Bavatars for CEO. So people get to share their profile images using their LinkedIn account, and then designers can use it on Figma to design a profile picture when designing a product. Now, so eventually we get to get faces of people that look like us and not some white guys. Um, why this is the biggest impact is because currently over 6,600 people are using this product now on Figma. One day I was in London, I was speaking to a friend, and I think he introduced me to also a tech bro that he had met, and we were just talking about some very simple small products that matter and that make their work faster. And he was literally talking about this product he was using, that he was always going to look for pictures in his folder to use as profile picture. And there was this the founder of Figma, and he was using it. It was very seamless and easy to use. One way, you don't enter everything you get. And he was talking so good about it. I was literally just standing there smiling. And when he finished talking, I was like, actually, I I was the founder of that tool. Me and my friend Shelly built it. I was like, for real? And so it was a really a proudful moment to see that something you build out of your own frustration is something someone else in another part of the world has been enjoying, and you can talk so good about it. And I mean, for me, I think it was in that moment that it felt like every hustle I've hustled in my life, in that moment, it felt so good to see someone talk about it like that. And on Twitter, several times, people have said so much. Even if you look down here, you could see the comments from people. Someone is asking, "This is really thoughtful. I have needed this for so long, and this is beautiful." You get and you see all the comments, and you just realize, so I really did something that's changing people's life, or that's like impacting people's work. You get so I would say for me, this is probably one of the things I've done that has the biggest impact. That when I think about it, I smile. If you would like to check it out, check Bawatas. You can add your own picture. It will just fetch from your LinkedIn profile picture, and people get to use it to design products and showcase around the world. And so you can go in there and contribute yourself. And yeah, but yeah, so that's probably one of the things I've done that has had the biggest impact so far. Um, how did you learn? Oh, okay, I think I've answered that. What would I say to someone that's worried about learning Python? Honestly, I don't know anything about Python. I tried to use it. I only used it once for a data project. Um, I don't know much about it, honestly, but I'm just going to say that if you need it to succeed at something that you're passionate about, then it is that part where you say you need to do the work to succeed. You get so you need to keep your worry aside and more or less find a methodology around how do I make learning this thing easier for me. There's and that's the reason why there are multiple contents on one thing because everybody's trying to explain it in their own understanding. So you have to find the one that really works for you and eventually learn it. Worrying is not going to get you to what's called achieve anything. Um, has there been times when you felt like you didn't belong in the tech community? Recently, I would say recently. And recently because when you, for example, when you move, there is this lag between you trying to settle into the madness that's happening in the place where you are. You get most happenings from where you are from would want to seem like a distraction. Recently, sometimes someone tells me something, oh, this happened. And I'm like, how did this happen and I didn't know? Because usually I would know. You get that expectation. I mean, you well versed within your network in the tech community where you, by just the sense of who you are, you just get to hear things. People come and tell you things. But somehow, I felt abstract. Like a lot of things happened between the time I moved from Nigeria to the UK, and I felt like, ah, am I part of this move? Now, the painful fact is, there's a tech community in the UK. As a newbie, I can't come and be claiming what's it called space here. I have to also go through the process of networking, meeting people. So it feels like doing it all afresh again. But the good part is you already have pedigree and you're not coming to be a JJC. The lucky thing is before I even came here, some people heard about me or had seen my work, and it was like a good experience to meet them. 2 days ago, I was having coffee with the head of growth of a product in Australia, was called Askable. She said she'd seen my profile, she's followed my work for a while, and she was coming to Manchester to watch the Rugby World Cup finals and saw that I was in Manchester and reached out. and we had coffee. And so the difference is that you now have pedigree, and people can literally say they know you and they want to meet you. So yeah, that's the difference between that's the difference between being in the Nigerian ecosystem and getting into a new one and trying to network and all of that. But yeah, and the next question is, how can the people connect with you and learn more from your journey? Yeah, there's my website, charlesnjoku.com. There's my Twitter. My Twitter is made by Charles. My LinkedIn is also, if you type made by Charles, it's me you find basically. Usually, if you just type made by Charles on Google, there's a high chance that if there are very common platform, you find me here. GitHub, Stack Overflow, and all of that. I'm made by Charles mostly everywhere. I don't have a YouTube channel. I'm probably still too shy to have one. I don't because I don't know what I'll talk about. Not that I don't know what I'll talk about. I just feel like this is an overkill. But yeah, I don't have any course online. I treat my thoughts about tech design most times. And then when opportunities like this come for me to speak about them, I share it and I speak. And yeah, that's how you get to find me. This was supposed to be for 30 minutes, but we've gone almost an hour. But yeah, thank you guys for having me, and I hope I was able to do justice to speaking with you guys.
Yeah, it is. The whole session is awesome. Yeah, the whole session is awesome. So, okay, guys. Before you get to ask your questions, let me just do a very fast brief of what Charles has walked us through. It's quite a lot, so I will be very brief. So if you miss something, don't think this will do justice. Just take your time and you watch the whole session. So yeah, Charles is more big about you following your passion. Okay, he has done several other things too, and of course, he gets to know his passion when somebody asking that what is something that you can do for a long time without feeling or getting bored and like, wow, it's a sitting in front of in front of the computer, and yeah, that is how he find himself starting something, and he has explored different world of the design industry, from corporate draw to using different business software like Photoshop, UI, UX, and yeah. Uh, so whatever industry you find yourself, public speaking, tech, coding, whatever, even if you are going for politics, just make sure that um, you position yourself right. And unlike many people that will think that there's no opportunity for beginners in the tech industry, there's actually lots of opportunity. And quite fortunately and unfortunately for Charles, he has missed a lot of opportunities because he's too big for the gigs. So these are the gigs that you guys should actually be cashing out from. So the idea is like there's a lot of opportunity even when you are just starting out now. So and there's no linear path to success in any way that you find yourself, and there is huge uh, I mean, when it comes to you joining a community to impact yourself, improve yourself, it is important. Like, community has gone a long way in helping Charles, okay, to grow, to learn different things. He connects with many of his friends, the Bulgarian mod and the likes, and even met his co-founder online. So you don't or shouldn't be shy when it comes to you really finding success in the tech industry, globally or locally. But yeah, particularly on global. And yeah, I should add that Charles started on Upwork and cash about $10,000. That's a lot. Good. You still have thoughts of it. I would like to share. All right, so we could jump to the question and answer session. So if you have a question, please use the comments. Uh, use the comment section, and then yeah, I will project it here, and Charles is going to provide answer right away. So please, if you have questions, answer, please drop it. So let's start with the one from Soup Dude 69. Hi, what do you think is a reasonable expectation anyways in your first year after learning a tech skills? Oh, Charles, you're mute.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Um, Funny enough, I don't think I ever had an expectation until I started seeing how much we were making. I was like, ah, so me, I have been dulling myself. Yeah. So, but I think now more and more, what people earn are becoming more public. and you can usually gauge what is decent to earn after your first year of tech, depending on what country you are, for example, and what ecosystem you are. In Nigeria, for example, after your first year, earning between 150 to 300 is decent. There are very few outliers. One 150 to 300 is literally a range, I would say. There are very few people that exceed that band after your first year in tech. That's in Nigeria. In somewhere like the US, probably in your first year, you want to be doing between 25 to $35,000 a year. I don't know what that is in a month, but yeah. Um, in the UK, usually the same that same range, or even more honestly, or even more honestly. But yeah, it depends on what ecosystem you are. Just look at the available data of earnings, like within your ecosystem, and you can be able to just find an average you get. So somebody cannot be making the least person cannot be making, say in Nigeria, cannot be making 150K, and you after 1 year is you're still making 70K. Obviously, you're being underpaid.
Oh yeah, that is a lot. So to get a perfect answer of what your pay should be, depending on your country, just try to use the internet. And if you're in Nigeria, 150 to 300 is a good start. Of course, other it depends on your location. So God, your look one said, thank you so much, and Ojela also said this is insightful. We have a question from Moses Ndi. What are the best tech skills you will advise for absolute beginners to start with?
My answer to this usually depends on what is that one thing you are innately skilled at. If you are very good at math and logic, I don't think you will find engineering too difficult to start with, because software engineering basically is about logic. You get converting what you want the person to do. It's like a series of tasks. If this, do this, do this, do this. It's like a series of tasks basically. So if you are good with logic and math, then maybe you want to try engineering. If you are more on the creative side, you have a creative eye and an eye for creativity, then design is a good place to start. There's no one skill that is the best. It's just depending on you as a person.
I thank you, and yeah, Subdued said thank you for providing the answer to the question you asked earlier. Here's a question from Wally Aziz. What platform can you suggest for a newbie to learn a tech skill from?
There's a lot there. It also depends on your learning capabilities. A lot have been there are some that you have to pay before you do. But my favorite is Udacity, for mostly anything. That's whether it's product management, engineering, or design. Udacity really has very step by step content you get for you to be able to learn. Um, the other platforms like Coursera, but Coursera is really very it's just Coursera is in a way you're on your own. They don't care whether you pass or fail, but you're on your own. They have provided you the content. So that is quite different. You get there's very careful methodology. Like you can, for example, in Coursera, I can jump series of things to go and finish off one course just because of finishing sake. But that's it, you can't. You have you submit your work to the review your work and give you feedback. You get so that's just a great place to go to.
Okay, thank you for the answer. So Wally Aziz, you have your question. Yeah, I also have a question. I think I'm permitted to ask a question. Also, audience. Okay, yeah, I concerning visa, talent visa. What do you think is the roadmap to getting a talent visa in the UK? I'm not so big in tech, but of course I have kind of a tech background, so I can navigate my way. But I would like to know the procedures in code or tips that can help me if I actually not if I actually want to. So the roadmap.
So really, with regards to the tech, in summary, there is actually a guide. There's actually a technician guide to follow But usually, some of the key things you want to focus on is be sure to highlight some of the most important things you've achieved in your career, because those are the things that you're going to be judged on. Be sure to highlight your contributions in terms of outside the scope of your everyday work. It's not enough for you to be talented and have done good work. It's also that you have gone beyond your everyday work to also get involved in the overall growth of the ecosystem. So as long as you're able to identify your contribution in this area and follow the guide, like I said, there's a guide, a very extensive guide. It's about 12 or up to 20 pages long. You get there's no way for you to miss anything. As long as you follow that guide, and also like I said, the tips I said, be sure to highlight your impact in the sense of the things you've built, the things you've launched, the things you've worked on, companies you've started, products you've worked on, all of that. As long as you can highlight your impact and also highlight your impact outside your everyday job, like for example, communities you have contributed to, led, initiatives you helped carry out that in overall contributes to growing the ecosystem generally. As long as you're able to highlight all of these things based on how the guide wants you to highlight them, then definitely you have a shot at it.
All right, thank you very much for the answer. So we have a question from Onjeleye. Was there any particular stage you felt like dropping tech, like having a message to stop, and how did you overcome it?
Hmm. Funny enough, I've never thought about it. Honestly.
Yeah, you
You
already said that with AI.
you guys, I've never thought about, you know what, I'm not doing tech again. Maybe it's like I said, maybe it's because sitting in front of a computer is usually something I enjoy doing. Like you don't have to pay me. You usually don't have to pay me. You get so it doesn't matter if I'm succeeding at something, but just the sheer need that I can open up my computer and learn something every new day or discover one new product or something. It's like it's exciting for me. I've never really the only time I ever thought about leaving tech is when I decided to retire. Like in my head, when do I want to retire from actively being in tech? And in my head, that's like maybe at the age of 40, 45.
All right. Thank you. Okay, we still have a couple of people online. So if you have question, please drop your question now. Grab this opportunity. And I mean, the session is up to 25 minutes, so Charles will still be available to answer your question. Uh, so if you have a question regarding probably how to navigate your way with tech, either with code or without code experience, um, here's the opportunity for you to get a free answer to your question. So um, use the comment section to drop your question. And if we do not have any question, I think we can end this session. So maybe the next 5 minutes. But before then, is there anything that you think you would like to add to the entire maybe something that you think?
Yeah, to everyone, I would like to say that um, be resilient. Resilience is not just about doing it for doing sake. Resilience is doing it because even when you don't see like the light inside, you just know it is there. Like it's there. You get so all you have to do is continue to show up and do your part every day that leads you to that point. Yeah, I know it's tough, it's hard, there's no easy part to it. But like I said, making that short decision that you know what, now that place I go dey go, make you carry me dey go. At least I know where I dey go, no be say carry me dey go where I no know. But this one I know where I dey go. You get so just that mentality is one thing that you will be grateful that you have to do for yourself in the long run.
All right. Thank you very much. So, Charles, thank you for the 1 hour 10 minutes session. It is awesome, and thank you for honoring our invitation on behalf of Insight.ng, the Insightpreneur Planning Committee, myself, of course. We
Yeah.
say a big thank you, and yeah, the people who have benefited from this session and people that will be joining us. So you have a great night, and
Yeah. Thank you for
thank you.
having me. Yeah. Bye.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for staying with us till this moment, and um, till tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. to 7:45 for our first session, and then our second session, which is 8 o'clock to 8 o'clock to 9:30, and the first session, we the first session is by Clement Oyinlola. We'll be speaking on less transformation, top online skills to position yourself for global opportunities. And the second session by Chi Jindu, we'll be speaking on business transformation, building a career as a life and business coach. So make sure you like this video, subscribe to it. You can still join us. Okay, you can still watch the video. It will be available. Just watch the recap. Share with your friends, people uh who will be interested in this session, are people that you think are probably been finding a way to get to the tech venture and doesn't seem to have the roadmap. And till tomorrow, yeah, again, thank you for joining us. And this session, of course, is hosted by Insight.ng. So see you tomorrow.